You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology. Welcome, everybody. Today to the show, we have a very special guest who just earned the Hall of Fame Awards for the National Speakers Association, New York Times bestselling author, cowboy business executive, has held all the titles, husband, father, good friend, mentor, Jeffrey Hayzlett. Welcome to the show today.
Hey, good to be here. I tell you what, I really appreciate it. Thanks for the shout out on the Hall of Fame. Join the National Speakers Hall of Fame. Some of the greatest speakers in the world: Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Al Walker, Terry Paulson. I mean, I can just go right on down the list. Harvey McKay, a good friend of mine as well. So all of those people, just some absolutely wonderful speakers to be a part of it. And, it's my fourth Hall of Fame too. Wow. So, yeah, I know. So I've been able to reinvent my career a couple different times. And, of course, I'm fairly well known in marketing. I've been the Direct Marketing Hall of Fame, the Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame, which has, you think about the people there. It's, again, Zig Ziglar's in there. I mean, you can imagine James Cash Penney, J.C. Penney, Tommy Watson, for the founder of IBM, and Benny Hanna, and so many others. And then I've been in the Business Marketing Hall of Fame as well, which I'm very proud of. That is, that's a big one.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your perspective because you come from both sides of it, coming from the C-suite and then also marketing and serving those business executives as well. And as we're looking at screen-to-screen selling, which is focused on having meetings without being physically present, how does the C-suite make decisions without sitting around this boardroom, which you typically think might be the case?
Well, when you think about the C-suite, you think that, like I was at a Fortune 100 company, you think we get together quite often face to face, and we don't. Even though we had planes, we had our own, Air Force, so to speak, we could get together from time to time. And we did try to do that physically. And a lot of companies do have that built in where they try to get together with the executive leadership at least, like once a month or, every so often. But it was rare that I talked to my CEO directly, who was my boss, the chairman of the company. We tried to get together at least once a month, but you would think it was almost every day we'd talk. We hardly ever talked, but when we did talk, we had a very structured thing that we were supposed to, do. But most of the time we all talked by phone, so we had conference calls, and most C-suites that I know have lots of conference calls, or they have telecommunications in terms of a video approach very much like this, and they've installed some kind of major system, although it's really cool to be able to see tools like that we're using right now, like Zoom, where I can add up to 100 people. It's very simple to do, and even in my own operations, this is how we communicate. I've got offices in New York, LA, San Francisco, and then Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and just an hour ago, I was doing a phone call with 4 people, or 5 or 6, 7 people. And one was here in our office, who he sits right over there, and he was on Zoom. And then someone's in New Jersey, and I'm sitting right here at the corner of 7th and, let's see what the heck is 7th and 29th in New York City. And then we had our office in South Dakota, and they had 3 or 4 people that were there. So, we do this all the time. So it's very, very important to have that kind of communication. I like the visual side of it. It's not without its problems, because you got to, have the right kinds of equipment, the right kinds of technology to be able to do it, but it's certainly doable.
Do you ever see the technology sometimes as a barrier, especially when, let's say, when all
the time, yeah, because this excuse my language, but the shit doesn't work sometimes. So but what you have to do is prepare. That's what you find that most people. The reason it fails is because most people don't prepare. Like, for instance, sometimes certain links don't work in certain browsers, or they've updated the browser, and you're using an old piece of an old plugin or something. So the key is always with everything, whether you're doing it old school or new school, is to prepare. And if you prepare and do your homework and be early, if I'm chairing the meeting, I'm supposed to start at a certain time, then I get on early to make sure everything's working right. Not everybody does that.
Yeah, I think the statistic is what it takes the average online meeting to start 10 minutes after the start time, right?
Yeah, I would almost say 20 some cases. My team, I get frustrated because time to time we've done that, and we've had to institute certain kinds of things like, no, if you're going to hold the meeting, get started early, and everybody be on time. And so we're able to get our video calls going now within just minutes of it. And if someone's late, we don't sit around and wait. We
Yeah.
just start. We
Yeah.
just start.
And so right now we're face to face where I can see you. You can see my body movements. You can
Yeah.
if I'm asleep, right?
Yeah. Right.
Are there times when you would, let's say, share your screen to be able to show, let's say, a document
All
or
the time. Absolutely, all the time. We do it all the time. We're grabbing each other's screens and sharing the list. I called my CEO, the CEO C-Suite Network here just a little, not more than an hour or two ago, and I was showing him a conversation and some notes from a meeting that he was not at, so he could see those. Rather than just share the file with him, I show him, and we do it that way because why take up extra bandwidth, and why do I send him the file? Then you got to wait for it to open, and he's got to wait to get it by email, and then we're going to have that conversation. Well, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Like, who cares about that? Well, I just say, hey, here's my screen. Look at the screen. And of course, the only thing he had to say was, oh, I got to make it a little bit bigger because his eyes are bad. So no.
Well, let's say if you have 5 executives and their productivity is limited by the problems that they have with technology. How could that eat into some of the payroll costs, especially when you have high-powered executives that are getting paid high salaries?
What, in terms of being able to participate or wasting time?
Yeah, well, wasting time. I mean,
Wasting time. I don't care if you're low paid or high paid. It's still wasting time.
yeah,
It's all relative. It's a higher cost. So what you need to do is get people with it right away. And so that takes a little bit of training, takes
yeah,
a little bit of prep work. And so, but you've got to get everybody on it. If you don't, you leave them behind. If you start getting left behind, I have an officer in one of our companies, and he just doesn't get it as much. And I'm just going, look, if you don't get it, we're moving without you. So either get in or get the heck out, because I can only move as slow as as fast as my slowest common denominator.
yeah. Well, one of the things in your book, Think Big, you said some of the best ideas start with saying, watch this.
Yeah.
If you were, if, if you
Yeah.
were to,
And also some of the stupidest things happen that way too. Hey, that's an old Southern joke, but that I use with my brothers. But yeah, you just watch this, like, hey, let's see what happens, and let's roll with it.
yeah. Yeah, interesting enough. Switching gears to the other side, because we've talked about it, let's say the executive level of the company. What about let's say the salesperson who's trying to get into that company and build a relationship with the executive? What are some challenges you see in reaching it, trying to let's say either get introduced or build a relationship with a C-suite executive who maybe you've never met before?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, they don't do their homework. Okay, I can't tell you the number of executives that come to sell me, advertising agencies, everything, and had the wrong logos, the wrong information, and didn't do their homework. I mean, just being stupid is the first one, right? That gets in your way. The second is, again, with the homework, not knowing certain things about me or the way in terms of getting that warm handoff. I'm trying to reach an executive of a fairly, very popular company today, right now. And so I'm reaching out to find everybody that knows that person and saying, hey, I want to talk to this person because I got an idea. Now, it benefits me greatly, but I think it will also benefit them and be a cool thing to do. And it's around my new book launch. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that. Not to mention, I also reached out to Donald Trump to get Donald on my show today. So we'll see what happens with that. Because I said, look, you're not getting great press right now. Maybe I could get you on the show. And because I'd like to talk to him about, by the way, this is a side note, squirrel. See, every once in a while, you remember that movie Squirrel, you get squirrels and, they come along and then they run off.
Love it.
So in this particular case, it's squirrel. But I'd like to do an interview with him about, hey, you say we should run this country like a business. Okay, here's your opportunity. Tell me how. What would you change? What would you do differently? Because he's not had that conversation. It's been all about all the other crap. So, but again, it gets back to this thing, I think, to get to your thing about being prepared is doing your homework. And then the other thing is be brief. if you're talking to a C-suite executive, I don't want to waste time. Don't come in and talk to me about the weather. Look, I can look out the window and see what the frickin' weather is. And besides, I don't like to talk about the weather. I really talk about business. And so, I used to never drink coffee. And people would write to me, hey, let's have coffee. Shut up. I don't drink coffee. What do you want? Okay? And I'm not trying to be abrupt or rude about it. It's I don't have time for this chit-chat. And most executives at that level don't have time for the chit-chat. You want to chit-chat? Go to dinner. Go to a social club. Go to a networking meeting. Go to a Toastmasters meeting. But I don't have time for chit chat. I have time for business. So what do you want to talk about? So and then get right to the point. Talk about the benefits. Now you have to tailor make it based on the 4 personality types there really are, and who you driver, amiable, analytic, or expressive, and you want to be able to do it along those lines. But by and large, most people at the C-suite level, especially at CEO or C on their name, typically are driver personalities.
Yeah. And I wonder from, with, let's say you break through and you're able to get that introduced to a relationship. Typically in corporate, you start off at kind of known as a vendor. Well, how does someone, let's say screen to screen, able to develop that relationship to where you're more of a trusted advisor rather than just another vendor who's trying to sell something?
Well, you're going to have to earn that. And so, or be introduced into a way that shows that your value has preceded you. And if your value has preceded you, I want to talk to you about partnerships, not about being a vendor. So therein lies the issue. So it's about how you get positioned, how you get introduced, and then the value that I perceive before we even meet. Now, if I don't know what I don't know, then I'm just having a meeting. If I know that you have the potential for adding me great value, well, then I'm looking at the meeting and I'm a little bit more open, not just to take it, but more engaged in the way in which I'm doing that meeting.
Sure. No, I understand. And with what the technology, that we're using today even has given us so many different options. Is, the world is an oyster. You can fit in the palm of your hand now.
Yeah.
With the principles of the book, Think Big, because now we have access, right? With the technology, what would be the one thing that you would recommend either sales professionals or C-suite executives do so they can start to think bigger about what opportunities they have with some of the latest technology?
Well, so you're only one click away from anybody. So why wouldn't you want to do it? I mean, it's like somebody said, Jeff, how'd you get on the Celebrity Apprentice? I said, I called 411 and asked for Donald Trump's phone number. It's a true story. So why not? I want to do something with Uber, and I don't know if I'm going to get it done, but I don't. I know I've met the CEO once. I don't have his contact, so I'm reaching out to him right now through a couple of people because I have this bodacious idea, and man, if I pull it off, it'll be huge. It'll be big. It'll be fun. So why not do it? So what's stopping you? The only thing that's stopping you is this right here. This head says you can't do it. Well, we've tried that before. We'll try it again if it didn't work before. The second title of the book, the subtitle of the book is Think Big, Act Bigger, the rewards of being relentless. In sales, you have to be relentless. You have to be relentless. People are going to say no. The way I look at no, they're just opportunities to say yes. I just have to get them out of the way first. It takes 10 of those typically no's to get to yes. So I try to get as many no's as I possibly can in a day so I can get to the yeses, because it's a lot more fun to deal with the yeses than the no's. So, and if I put you on my potential that I'm going to go sell to you, I'm going to sell to you. You might be the day before you die, but I will sell to you. Okay. I mean, I will be relentless, and that's the way I am in terms of being, just doggedly on top of it. And I, some people might not like that, but I'll get you.
Well, you've been a great role model to follow for those entrepreneurs that are either just getting started or want to take it to the next level.
Thank you.
And I mean that. And even just reaching out to you, it's about the relationship. It's about adding value, and I appreciate everything that you've done.
Yeah, well, most people don't know. I don't delegate this stuff. I do my own emails. I get back to people. There's some emails maybe I don't do, but by and large, I'm always responding back to everybody. Look, I'm glad people like me. So, I'd like to let them know that I appreciate that. So, yeah. I just, as you mentioned, and I was inducted into the Sales and Marketing, into the Speakers Hall of Fame over the week, this week, just a couple of days ago. And, And I wrote to everybody that's in the Hall of Fame this morning, a personal note to every single person in there saying thank you for what you've done. And I don't take this induction lightly, and I'll do my best to live up to what the people who went before me did.
Yeah.
And so, and it's amazing the notes I've gotten back already today as a result of just that thank you. But those to me are things that we should do as human beings, and I think that's what real professionals do.
You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show, hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology.
That's another reason to join early. Well,
if you're familiar with Google Plus, how to hang out, or even like join.me and some of the other screen sharing things I've seen.
Oh, congratulations!